Today marks Latina Equal Pay Day, highlighting a huge wage gap disparity. In 2025, believe it or not, research shows Latinas make 54 cents for every dollar earned by white men, meaning they could be taking home about half of what their white male colleagues make in the same job. This morning, there was a cafecito, a coffee and gathering event, highlighting and raising awareness about this, put on by organizations Amigas in Tech and Justice for Migrant Women. They wanted to create a space to talk about how to move forward towards real change, like advocating for yourself. We asked some of the Latinas there if they have ever experienced this pay disparity.
I started working in the technology and startup space pretty young, around 18, and it became clear to me relatively quickly that my white male counterparts were making thousands of dollars above me. And as my career progressed and I got all of my accolades and I got all of my quote unquote receipts, I still was not able to pass that barrier.
The company that I was working with, I was doing basically everything for them. And it came a point where I was looking at the financials and they were not making sense. It turns out that they brought in this other person making essentially $15,000 more a month than I was making.
A new report from the nonprofit Justice for Migrant Women shares this gap has barely budged in 10 years, and in rural areas, the gap is even wider. We asked the women at today's event why this is still such an issue in 2025 and what can be done to address it.
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think there's cultural reasons, but ultimately it's really a systemic reason. You know, we are working and living in systems that were built hundreds of years ago.
This happens because people don't want to admit that we have different starting levels, but the reality is we do. And the more that we actually start paying attention to that, the more that we can actually make strides in this conversation to get to the place where pay equity actually happens for us.
This year marks the 10th anniversary of this campaign, the National Latina Equal Pay campaign. For all of our Latinas out there, all of the women out there as well, I hope you take the advice to advocate for yourself, have the hard, uncomfortable conversations with the people you trust, and the confidence to never settle for less.